funny.
We'll know you're down there, don't worry, we
people.
won't forget you.
Wow, look at all these people here.
Hello, how are you?
Hello.
We're missing my buddy
Oh,
here.
man. Oh, yeah.
Maybe he's out getting some vitamin D.
Isn't a 6-0-1 vote, that means one abstain. I didn't abstain, I just was no, so this needs fixed.
This is all on my desk, I don't know what this is.
And then
Oh, I should read it.
That was
Got it.
I'll reference it
Don't
in
to
the
be,
video.
got it.
Oh, I had it changed and I can't find it. Oh, well.
somewhere here, my name was misspelled.
I'm ready.
You can give me the thumbs up.
It's supposed to be early April.
Staff may start.
Okay, here we go. Call the meeting of the Morgantown Planning Commission to order. First item on the agenda, we'll talk about any public comments for matters not on the agenda. Does anyone have any comments for matters not on the agenda? Well, first, I guess, does anyone want me to read the pre-meeting announcements?
Nope.
Okay, didn't think so. Next, we go to the matters of business meeting minutes from January 11th.
One correction on page 8 of our packet. It says the vote at the bottom. The vote was 6-0-1 in favor. It was 6-1-0. I voted against.
Okay. Yes, that's right.
Okay, any other changes to January?
Move to approve as amended?
Have a motion, to have a second?
Second.
Okay, all in favor? Next matter is meeting minutes from February 8th, 2024.
On page 23 of our packet, in the second paragraph, my name is misspelled.
Duly noted.
Thought we had a-
Thank you.
So I would move to approve with amendment.
Second.
Motion and second, all in favor? Okay, I guess we all voted in favor. Moving new business, RZ 24-01, Paul Corey, Creston Avenue.
Again, thank you. Good evening, everybody. The applicant seeks to rezone a portion of property from an office and institutional district to a multifamily residential district. As you can see here on the slide, on January 11th, the Planning Commission approved the subdivision of parcels 94, 95, and 96 along Creston Avenue. As showed on this slide, the parcels south of Creston Avenue, highlighted in yellow, were conveyed to Metro Towers LLC, while the northern portions of the same parcels in beige were retained by the previous owner, Barbara and Michael Duff. Well, the northern portions of the property was retained by the previous owner. That portion of land was consolidated with the adjacent parcels. This consolidation, however, was conditioned on the applicant and owner coming back within 6 months to rezone the property. Since then, the property has been acquired by the applicant, Mr. Corey, and I'm not sure he is here tonight, but he is moving to fulfill the commission's condition for the minor subdivision approval. The survey plat here shows the lot consolidation and portion of property to be rezoned, shaded in yellow. And the next slide shows the exhibit map that was prepared by our team in the GIS office. After review, staff finds that the proposed zoning map amendment to be consistent with the city's land management plan adopted by Morgantown City Council in December 2023, as the future land use map is identified as residential mixed use. Development typologies appropriate for this land use include two-family and multifamily dwellings, civic institutional uses, commercial, office, and open space. It's also consistent with the existing zoning map, as the property is split zone between the R3 district and the OI district. And that will conclude staff's report.
Okay, any discussion, or do you have anything else to do on behalf of the petitioner?
No, sir.
Okay. Any discussion or questions for the planner? Okay, public comments. Anyone in the audience like to speak in favor of the petition? Anyone in opposition? Okay, staff recommendations, please.
Staff moves to approve the the rezoning application as presented.
Discussion? Motions?
Move to forward to council with a recommendation to approve the proposed zoning map amendment.
Second.
Motion second, all in favor? Okay, looks to
I'm
be
sorry, who
unanimous.
seconded?
Oh,
Kelly.
Kelly, thank you.
Next item on the agenda, MJS 22-01, R&R Holdings 3 LLC, 1345 Van Voort.
The applicant seeks final plan approval for a major subdivision, La Dolce Vita, located at the intersection of Southview Street and Van Voort Road. The applicant was granted conditional approval for the preliminary plat by the Planning Commission in August 2022, not August 2024, as in your packet, so that was a typo with conditions. After review, the staff can report that all the conditions listed in the staff report regarding the preliminary plat approval have been addressed by the applicant in the final plat, except for one item pertaining to the certification of improvements for the subdivision, which staff will address shortly. The next slide that shows the proposed subdivision and the proposed final plat would create 10 buildable parcels of land along a new private access road and cul-de-sac called Dolce Vita Drive, as well as a 4-foot reserve strip along Van Voort Road. While improvements to the subdivision are substantially completed, there are a few items outstanding, and we'll walk through those just briefly now. The first is the installation of a liner for the stormwater facility in the rear yards of lots 1 and 2, as you see as indicated with the green arrow there. The second improvement that still needs to be dealt with is the installation of a gas line by Hope Gas to service the subdivision. This is going forward. Staff was out at the site this week. Hope Gas crews were there, and the applicant may be able to speak a little bit more to their timeline, but the line is being constructed where it is shown on the plat within the right-of-way and next to the existing sidewalk that's in place now. And last is the installation of the final wearing course of asphalt for Dolce Vita Drive. So the next couple series of slides are also shown in your packet is the before and after pictures. So again, this was taken from Google Maps looking at the property down into the property before. Here's the after with the grading and the road being installed. You can see here, this is Van Voort, this is Southview Drive. Here's a photograph of that intersection of Southview and Dolce Vita Drive and the installation of the sidewalk. And there's the crew from Hope Gas actually in the background there. And this is the stormwater facility that's in the rear lots of lots 1 and 2. And then you can see how on the preliminary plat and on the final plat how the water is collected and then diverted to the stormwater retention facility that was approved by MUB. Let me see here. So go to that. As it pertains to Section 1319 of the subdivision ordinance that governs the requirements and approval process for final plat approval, the applicant has met all the criteria except for Section 1319-01E. As already mentioned, the line of the stormwater facility needs to be installed, as well as the gas line and final wearing course of asphalt. To address this specific issue, the applicant has presented the city with an irrevocable letter of credit from a banking institution in the amount of $30,000. This amount was developed by our city engineer and includes the cost to finish the wearing course of asphalt. While a letter of credit is not the same as a bond, as referenced in the subdivision ordinance, it would ensure the city could utilize funds to complete this improvement if need be. If the Planning Commission and City Administration is willing to accept this instrument, staff would request that the applicant provide the city with a date when this particular improvement may be completed in accordance with 13-1901E. And in speaking with the applicant and the Morgantown Utility Board, the gas line should be installed relatively soon, and MUB has no issues with the request for final plat approval, as the liner should be installed when more vegetation takes root in the ground. Earlier today and on the dais in front of you, the applicant provided a certificate from their civil engineer in accordance with the subdivision ordinance. The copy of the certificate is in front of you, and the certificate states that the improvements to the property have been completed in accordance with all applicable specifications of the city, except for the 3 items previously mentioned. And that would conclude staff's report.
Just out of curiosity, the letter of credit, who's in favor of it? For example, is it to them?
It's to the city,
Okay,
yes.
so that you can just go out and get it
Correct.
done and get the money? Okay.
Yes.
And why was that done instead of the bond that we generally require?
I would ask the applicant. We made them aware what the requirement was, but this is what was presented, and this is what's before you now. Having said that, though, it still is in the spirit of what the bond's trying to do to protect the city's interest in making sure any final improvements can be done, and the city could utilize funds if something were to happen.
Any other questions for the planner?
I have one question. I was looking at the covenants on page 83, and it talks about fences. I wanted to know what the provisions are in our code about the fence height, because this is a terrible intersection, and I wouldn't want a fence to be too high for coming up and trying to turn on Van Born.
So the maximum height of a fence, a privacy fence, is 6.5 foot.
And what would the distance be at the corner there? You know, so for looking right to see line of sight
Right,
issues.
so they can be built up to the property lines,
Right.
but there, I don't know off the top of my head, but we do have sight vision
Okay.
that protects that.
Excellent,
Mhm.
thank you.
Correct me if I'm wrong, but if somebody goes to build a fence on that piece of property, they've got to come in and get a building permit for it.
Yes, sir.
And provide plans, right?
Yes, and then we would evaluate it based upon where the fence is, and the actual intersection itself and the turning radiuses would dictate how low that would have to come down if they wanted to build it all the way to the property line.
Great, thank you.
Okay. So applicant, you have anything you want to add?
I might just add one thing about.
You have
the,
to say your name.
Oh, Devin Shrewsbury, I'm sorry.
Okay.
Um,
Oh, now you broke it. Stop.
Oh,
I'll just hold it. I'll just hold it. It was just about the fence. If you want to show her the photo, so the first lot right there at the intersection is actually cut down quite a bit, so it would not be level with Van Voris, which would aid in the visual aspect right there. Yeah.
Anybody have any questions for the applicant?
I have a general question. I saw in I think it was the paper this week, they talked about the DOT starting the improvements on Van Voris. Are they planning to put a sidewalk on that side of the road or the other side of the road or neither side of the road in that area?
I believe it's on that side of the road within the existing right-of-way. And the applicant may have more information about that as well.
Yeah, I believe that it will be on that side of the road. However, that side of the road is also where our reserve strip is located to provide a barrier. We were in contact with the DOH about how much they would be encroaching onto the property, and that kind of dictated the width of that reserve strip that we provided. Lot number 11, I think, is what it's labeled as on the final plat.
Can you speak to why they went with a letter of credit as opposed to the bond as required by city ordinance?
When they were speaking with their bank about trying to provide what was asked of them, their bank directed them that this letter of credit was something that they provide all the time for these kinds of projects, and so they were just, from the advice of their bank, that they could provide that.
Do we generally accept things like that as opposed to a bond? Have you received those in the past? Because I don't believe
No.
we've done anything like this that's come up during my time on the planning commission.
We don't have many subdivisions, but the ones that I've done a little bit more research on, they've been in bond. But again, I spoke with legal counsel, and they've assured us that it's not per the code,
It's
but
an
it was still-
effective surety.
Yes,
And
thank
that's
you.
what I was getting ready to
Yes.
ask. You spoke to Ryan about it. He
Yes,
said
sir.
it's good enough.
Yes, if the commission,
Okay.
Yep.
When generally would the final coat go down? After half the lots get built or before that all happens? Or?
Yeah, the reason for not putting it on before all of the they would do it once all the lots are complete, and it's so that everything can mesh well with everyone's driveways. When everybody paves their driveways in, when they put the final coat of pavement on the road, it would look its best, and it would all mesh well together. So that's why they tend to wait until after all of the lots are complete before putting that wearing course on.
Is that when you're gonna go back and do the driveway aprons? Cause right now it's,
Yeah, the driveway aprons will be the responsibility of each homeowner.
So I don't know where you are with selling lots in these areas, but what if, only 50% of the lots get sold and it's 3 years from now? What goes on with the?
If it were a significant time like that, then they would come in prior to the final driveway and put the wearing coat on.
And the one thing that staff would like to clarify too, that because if we go with this type of surety, we'd ask that the applicant specify a time frame,
Okay.
2 years, 3 years, something that then the city could act on if they had to with that line of credit if something doesn't happen.
Any other questions for the applicant? Okay, thanks. Any member of the audience who'd like to speak in favor of the petition? Anyone in opposition? Okay, staff recommendations, please.
Staff recommends that the final plat be approved with the conditions listed in the packet. Additionally, if the irrevocable letter of credit is acceptable to the commission, staff will work with the applicant to secure a notice from the city manager's office regarding the wearing course pavement. With regard to the other two remaining improvements, staff suggests that the plat be updated to include the civil engineer's note that's on the dais in front of you. And when the improvements are completed, an updated plat be recorded with the Mon County Clerk's office. Until such time, the city would not issue any building permits to further develop the property or construct any single-family dwellings. Additional notes to make: the applicant did provide an updated declaration of restrictions with the referenced by Ms. C earlier for the new subdivision. The document makes it clear that the common areas are the responsibility of the property owners living in the subdivision through the homeowners association. What staff did not see is any reference to the reserve strip of land along Dolce Vita Drive, and I apologize if I missed that, but if it's not in there, staff would ask and recommend that the document be updated to include that as a maintenance item in the declaration of restrictions and easements.
Okay, a discussion? Motions?
I think there are two motions. The first I'd like to make, Mr. President, is that the commission finds a letter of credit to be adequate security in lieu of a bond with regard to the subdivision process.
Motion on that, do I have a second on that?
Second.
Motion second, all in favor? It didn't look like anyone's opposed. It's hard to see everybody, we have so many people now.
Almost full.
Okay. And do we have another motion?
I'll make a motion to approve as presented.
With the conditions?
Yes, with the conditions, thank you.
Thank
Second.
you.
Motion second, all in favor? And that looks to be unanimous also. Okay. Committee reports. None? Okay.
No committee reports.
Staff comments.
Just welcome to Brennan. Thank you for stepping up to serve with us on the board. Also like to thank Mr. Strenko for re-upping and taking some vacation time to fulfill his obligations. That's dedication right there. So we appreciate it. And then finally, we will have at least one item of business for the April agenda, and we'll keep you posted on that.
As a reminder, I will not be here for April, so Brendan, you're president next month.
Fair enough.
Good news.
He
Can lead a
already
good
chairs the
meeting.
traffic commission,
There
he'll
you
probably
go.
be fine.
Okay.
And that's all I have,
Okay.
Mr. President.
Anything else?
Move to adjourn?
Second.
Go.
Definitely.
Thank you, everybody.